All right, here we are again. So now I'm gonna show you guys how to properly inspect the front brake and maybe perform maintenance if needed. All right, here we got a J6R 750. I'm doing a complete rebuild. I got new fairings, so off with the old ones and just taking apart everything, inspecting everything, making sure everything is road ready. And as I go along, I figured I'd share a few details with you guys, just so everyone stays safe. All right, so first and foremost, fork seals. I know it has nothing to do with the brakes right now, but check this out. If fork seal's leaking, take care of it right away, because you know what's gonna happen? Right on your rotors, your brake's gonna be really bad with that oil in it, that fork oil. No good. So now, just a quick tip. Let's say your fork seals were leaking. You did the fork seals. It was bad enough that it got on the rotors. I mean, you clean the rotors, everything's fine, but check it out. You see inside these holes? You're gonna have residue sitting inside these holes if you don't clean them out properly. So, all these holes, I suggest you clean them out if you have that problem, just in case. All right, so moving on. So it's just me, so I opened everything in advance. So here it goes. And like I said before, the best way to inspect your brakes, whether front or rear, take it apart. And it's just a couple minutes. A couple minutes that will allow you to see something you probably wouldn't see just by using a flashlight looking down in there. Yeah, a quick inspection if you're buying the bike from someone else, cool. Yeah, you look down in there and see what's going on, and you feel the rotors and stuff. But bike belongs to you. If you're a mechanic, you're performing maintenance, take it apart. It's easy. All right, they look pretty good here, but I'm gonna change them anyway because the bike was sitting. So you see those grooves right there? That's like their rule. Once the pad is low enough where that groove is gone, it's time to replace. Definitely time to replace. And another reason why I say take it apart, I see sometimes the pads, they wear uneven. You look at one side and say, yeah, you're good. You're good for another couple thousand miles or a couple hundred miles without replacing. You miss all that stuff. So just take it apart and inspect. And I'm not gonna do this one today. I have a video up already with the rear, but the pistons, those are really important. See all those dusts, especially if the bike was sitting for a while, especially outside like this one was, right? So what do? You want to pay attention to the pistons. See all the dust residue, all the corrosion. Let's say you change the pads, you're gonna use your tools and push those pistons back. Well, you're gonna hurt those dust seals with all the debris on the pistons. So, I have a video up already just showing you how to remove the pistons and cleaning. All right, so these pins, they're very important. You may overlook them once you change the brakes, but you need to check them out. Make sure they're clean. Once you replace those pads, then you gotta use your sandpaper and scuff them up. And check this out. These pins, I'd change these pins because running my finger across it, I don't know if you can see those lines. I don't think, oh yeah, they belong there. My apologies. All right. So this could be a good example. Well, there's some bikes, I've seen it before. Let's say it doesn't come with this groove, right? Apparently it is from factory because I could see the machining. It's evident it's from the factory. But some bikes I've seen it where the pin, it gets worn, especially along here where the pads move. It's always good to check that out, make sure that's not an issue, You don't want your pads hanging up. I mean, same applies for the other pin up inside there. Let me see if I can probably go ahead and get this out of there. One second. Oh yeah, that's my XR. I love it. Anyway, just to get back in there and try to pull this out some more. It's kind of difficult when it's just you in that camera. Okay, I want to scratch anything up, so just put it here and try to take this thing out. Oh Lord. Alright, pliers. Pliers. Let's see. This guy right here should be good. Alright. Oh. So, see, this is giving me a hard time right now. So what do? Push on the pad like this. You see that spring action? If you can see it a little bit, it's a little bit springy when you push on it. That's this piece right here. You're gonna push just to get the resistance off of the pad, off of the pin, I should say. Then get in there, pushing it, and pull. Still being a little stubborn. All right, there we go. So this pin, as it was stubborn, you see, it's all corroded. That's part of the reason why it was in there. It didn't want to come out. So we're gonna get these pads out. Yeah. So those, the height isn't so bad. It's close, but you could still go. But like I said, I want to replace them because the bike was sitting. I've seen it before where material, this material right here, it falls off here because it was sitting so long, it gets corroded and it just fall right off. We don't want that happening. Front brakes, really important. See these arrows? They definitely mean something to the direction of the rotation. So check it out. See that? These people, they change pads. They take these off, they throw them away. Man, I've seen that so many times. That is not right. The bike is manufactured with that. It's there for a reason. It's sort of like an insulator. So now this insulator, it allows air to pass through here, right? And it also slows down the heat transfer. So you were riding all day, maybe you're on the track, maybe you know, in tight turns, maybe you're in the city somewhere, using the brake constantly. You don't want that heat getting transferred to your fluid, because once that heat gets transferred to your fluid, that's where you're gonna start having problems, especially if you have air inside your system. Now we all know what happens when you heat air, it expands. And when air expands, you're gonna be, the air that expands is practically gonna be holding your brake for you without you holding it, because there's expansion going on inside your braking system, right? So we don't want that. So we want to bleed the brakes, make sure there's no air. And for God's sakes, when you change the pads, put these back. You know, scuff them off first, get rid of all this debris, because there's some amount of thickness getting added to the whole clearance right here, so you might have problems fitting it back over the rotors. So that's that. So if you want to get these pistons out, oh, don't worry, I'm gonna change that fender. So it might sound like I'm scratching the shit out of it, but probably am, but I'm gonna change it anyway. What I don't want to get is the tube where it forks. That's really important. We don't want to put any form of damage on those, because that will ruin the seals. Seals I'm gonna have to change, because once I see the dust seals get cracked like that, they're compromised. So let's just replace them. We want to ride the whole season without performing any major maintenance in the machine. So get that out. Off you go. So let's say I was taking this braking system apart. I'll show you briefly what you could do. So you put one pad back in there, right? And you pump. This is if you're at home, I mean, you don't have compressed air. you pump, and you got to leave that one side. When you're doing this, you got to leave that side on, or else all the expansion is going to happen over there and here, and you won't get that much travel with the pistons. So it seems I have problems with this brake, so it's not going to happen. But what you do is you just pump the darn thing, take the cap off so the fluid will run easily or easier. Take the cap off and pump it. These are gonna slide out one by one. Now you can do whatever method you can to control what comes out first, or let's say this one is coming out, right? And you have it all the way at the end. Now you'd keep it there, right there at the end, but you keep pumping, because once you take one out, that's it. You can't pump and get them out anymore. So you just kind of play around with it until you pump and you have all of them at least up a little bit. You want to do it side by side though. So these two, you want to have them out a little bit. Once you got them out, you could pull and you'll be fine. But another way is you could use something of similar circumference of the pistons, black hair, and perform the same action to get these out. No, I'm sorry if the explanation is not enough, but we don't really have the time to get into removing it. I'm definitely gonna do a video removing them, so you could hang tight for that. But as for now, we're just taking apart and inspecting. This I'm definitely gonna take them out. Like I said, the bike was sitting. I'm gonna take them out and clean them. So now, as for inspection with your rotors, so you want to take your fingers, slide it across. You're not supposed to feel any grooves at all. If you feel grooves, you'll have brake, but it's not going to be tip top. You want your front brakes to be tip top. You want to be able to stop as soon as possible, right? So you want to make sure those brakes are good. There's no grooves on this, so we're good. Another way you could check too, or it could be a second method after you use your fingers, just to feel grooves. You could use something with a sharp tip or just a pointed tip and run it along. Just like that. Doesn't fall in any of this space, no hookups, you are good. These rotors, they're called floating rotors. Floating rotors is, oh man, everything flexes. High speed, everything on this bike flexes. You will not see it a few thousandths of an inch or however many distance it moves, but every freaking thing flexes on this front end. High speeds, cornering, a lot of pressure, it's gonna happen. So these now, it allows you to have nice brake even when everything flexes. So these floaters, you want to move this back and forth, you don't hear any jingling, no nothing like that. So you want to be, you make sure this is nice and tight, right? So that's that for down there. That's good. And like I was explaining with the rear, there's sometimes I can see it from here. There's sometimes, look at this black, look right there. You see that darker shade coming down, extended from here, coming down? Well, that is the rubber seal getting sucked down inside the reservoir. We want to prevent that. So I'm going to show you what to do to prevent it and to fix. Hey, I'm gonna ride the shit out of you. Anyway. Alright. See that? Brake fluid is hygroscopic. It collects moisture. That's moisture right there. Definitely moisture. So we're gonna have to change our fluid. So check this out now. Watch this. Bam. It's getting sucked down. We don't want that to happen. So you go in there and you push this back down. level it out just as it was from the factory. See that channel right there? It's really important. That's where it breathes through. So now what I do, I get soap and water. Yeah, soap and water. Wash this entire thing. Wash it clean and dry the shit out of it. You don't want any moisture at all going back there, because that's what we're trying to prevent in the first place. So, clean it good after the soap and water. This fluid looks like it was changed recently, but what? Check that out. See that? Nasty. It was sitting, so maybe that's where it's from. So we're gonna have to change it again. So now you know. Okay, bleeding procedure. Gonna explain as best as I can, but I know most times it's better watching a video where you actually see someone performing the action, and it'll be easier for you to repeat it. But I'm gonna explain to the best of my ability. So let's say I was bleeding this system. Everything, all my maintenance was done. It's all back together, and I'm bleeding, right? Take this guy out. And I'd fill my reservoir. Try to set the handlebar to one side. I know I have the face of the bike off right now, but probably be easier like this. Maybe this position right here, where you have the reservoir nice and level as best as you can. So you don't overfill it, because you don't want any spill interference. And like I said before, if you're really scared about what's gonna happen if the brake fluid spills, it's gonna eat your paint. And we could prevent that by getting the spray bottle with water. You spray the shit out of the bike with the water. It's cool. It's just water. Spray it down everywhere, everything with the water, right? Reservoir's filled. The first place you're gonna bleed is this guy right here, because this is where all the magic happens once you press this lever. So you're gonna open here, crack it open. I like to let it air bleed for a second and just watch all these nasty bubbles coming out. Once that air bleed, I'll close it back, pump, hold it down, pump, hold it down, and crack this guy open, right? While I'm holding it. Don't release. Once you tighten this back, not really tight, but just snug enough where it won't leak, you start pumping again. And you see all my fingerprints with the brake fluid and stuff. Try not to do that. This is gonna get, all of this is gonna get taken apart. So, your grips right here, try not to do that either. My hands are a little messy right now, but bear with me. Yeah, so you take that apart, you tighten that snug, or you snug it, you pump the brakes, you crack it open again. It's gonna shoot up. But the best way, right now, the best way is to put a little line over this thing. I just sell little kits where you can put over here and allow the fluid to go inside somewhere safe where it won't get all over your bike. This right here, some machines, it has a tendency to squirt fluid back up when all the pressure starts getting built up inside here. It'll push the fluid back up, so be careful. Or what you could do for safe measures, without the rubber seal, just put this guy back on like that. Just cover it in case it squirts up. It'll just get right on the top and you drip right back down in the reservoir. So you pump. Once you finish it up here, you go down here. So now the rules with cars, trucks, anything with hydraulic brakes, you're gonna want to start with the side that's furthest from the cylinder, the master cylinder. So in that case, I would say my fluid comes down, travels all the way down, goes to this guy right here, and it gets split and comes over here. Some bikes, it may be different, so pay attention. So this would be classified as the furthest from the master. So you start with this, you crack it open. I like to let it air bleed. Let it air bleed, drip a little bit. Once you drip, and maybe, let's say you filled it and you had it dripping and it gets to like right here, this lower line, you know, you have sufficient fluid passing through there, so you're good at that point. So close that back up. I mean, fill it back up. Then proceed bleeding again. Pump, 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 pump. Hold that lever down. Crack this open. Let it squirt out again. Kind of take this off. Use a rubber line over here so you can allow the fluid to escape into something safe where it won't get on your rims. It will eat your paint. Don't play around. It definitely will eat your paint after a while. So once you're done bleeding this side, over this side now. Same procedure. Pump, 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 pump. Hold down. Don't let go. Open this. Fluid's gonna squirt out. You close it back once it's squirted out. Just not tightening because you're still in the process of bleeding. Pump, pump, pump again. Pump, pump, pump. And then repeat it. Maybe do it like 4 times. If you change the lines, you're gonna have to do it until, you know, just go by feel. You're a rider, so I'm assuming you will know what a good brake's supposed to feel like, right? It's gonna be a little spongy when you get over here, but don't get discouraged. You know, it'll be fine, especially when you start with here. It's gonna be really spongy, but again, do not be discouraged. You'll be fine. Or there's another way you could do too. Check this out. You crack right here. If you don't have this bleeder right here and you have a different style master, you don't have this, you pump, pump, pump. Let's say you were starting with here first. Start with here first, right? Pump, pump, pump. And you crack this open. Psst. You close it back. Pump, pump, pump. Same thing again, right? So by now, I mean, you can air bleed that side, air bleed this side. I mean, gravity bleed that side, this side, and let the fluid drip. Once you close it, you could perform the action where you actually pump and open and close, pump, open and close, and then your system will be bled, right? And I'm gonna show you to inspect the lines also. You'll, you know, have it together. Everything is bled. The system is pressure. It has good pressure now. You're gonna pump that master cylinder while holding this line, right? If you feel any form of expansion, you're losing energy because there's an energy transfer going on right here. Once you energy you apply here is this, the piston is gonna push and apply the same energy, or maybe multiply it and send it down here for your calipers. So you want to make sure you're not losing any energy along the way, especially this crossover line right here. You want to make sure this is good. This one is steel braided, so I guess it will be fine. It's nice and rigid, so I don't expect any flexing with this one right here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm sorry I couldn't get to show you everything, but hopefully my explanation was good enough.